Hi, Kel here from Your Travel Planners. Well, today I'm here to help all of you try and decide what is the best cruise for you. I'm going to run you through a series of slides and hopefully plant some questions in your mind that will be able to help you in the future if you decide to go on a cruise. So if any of you have any questions after the presentation, you can just email us and we will help you further. But hopefully this will try and help you understand some of the technical aspects of a cruise, and then fingers crossed you can book one. It's very exciting. So let's start off with some quirky facts. I found this on the internet and I love stuff like this. It blows me away. I mean, imagine 50,000 eggs. I mean, that's just insane. Imagine seeing them actually load 50,000 eggs onto the ship and seeing them all in one hit. And another one. This is crazy. 2,500 kilometers of electric cable. That's like 4 trips to Perth. That's just amazing. Anyway, let's go. So, something that I would ask everyone who come in and sat with me to do a cruise was, have you cruised before? It helps me understand if you've got any expectations or what you did do, and maybe I can help you further from there. So, it's a good place to start. Fingers crossed you don't do a cruise like that ship there. Okay, questions to think about is when you're looking at cruising. When you're looking at cruising is going to determine, where you cruise. For example, you might have in your mind doing a cruise to a tropical destination and something exotic, and you see some adverts in the paper for cruising in Europe from $1,200, but those cruises might be in February. Now, this is obviously not going to suit because it's winter in Europe in February, so that's probably not going to be the best. Time of year that you cruise also determines sometimes the weather patterns, obviously. A consideration, for example, would be if you're looking at cruising in the Pacific. So when I mean by the Pacific would be Fiji, Vanuatu, Samoa, places like that. Now, during our winter, it's the perfect time to go out there because it's sort of their dry season. However, having said that, obviously if you're cruising from Sydney or Brisbane in winter, you could encounter some cold and rough weather until you actually get out to the Pacific. So that's something else you may want to just think about if you've never cruised before. So where can you cruise? I guess there's so many places out there now that you can cruise, and it's not just limited to ocean cruising. You can cruise around the rivers in Europe. There's rivers in Russia as well. You can go up through the fjords in Norway. You can cruise on the Mekong in Vietnam and Cambodia. So there's so much out there that you can cruise, and it's just it's becoming more and more popular. So there's more cruises coming to our market all the time. How long should I go for? $1 million question. How long is a piece of string? To be honest with you, it really just depends if you've cruised before or if you haven't. Personally myself, a hint would be for your first time cruise, go for something a little bit shorter in duration. It's just going to give you a taste for cruising. That way, if you don't like it, or if cruising's not for you, you're not on the cruise for 20 odd days. You're just doing a short one to start with, and if you really love it, you can book something a little bit longer next time. I would never go booking someone on a 40, 50 night cruise coming into the office if they've never cruised before. It'd just be a little bit of a risk. Am I going to get seasick? You know what? You might do. I got really seasick when I did my Antarctic cruise a couple of years ago. We had to cross the Drake Passage to get down to the Antarctic Peninsula, and I got extremely sick. My partner was walking around all the time, but I was extremely sick in the cabin. I did take something for it and I managed to sleep, and there's always doctors on board the ship, so if you get really bad, there's always someone that you can see. But there are things that we can do to help you try and overcome your seasickness, and one of those things is where you're actually placed on board the ship. If we can get you as close to midship as possible, and what I mean by midship is if you cut the ship in half both lengthways and the other way as well, if we can get you sort of as close to the middle of the ship as possible, it's going to stop movement on the ship. So that's something that we can try and help you with once we pick your cabin on board. Which takes me to your cabin types. So what are the different cabins? You always hear advertising, inside, your outside, your porthole, but what does it all mean? So I'm going to run you through a few different cabins now. Alright, let's start with the inside cabins. Inside cabins are always your cheapest cabins on board, which is fantastic. It brings the price of the cruises right down. Negative being you got no natural sunlight in the cabin, so you never know what time of day it is. I was lucky enough to experience an inside cabin with my mum when we went on the Virgo last year, and it was fantastic. I loved the cruise, but every time we went into our cabin we had to turn the lights on. You have to set your alarm to get up in the morning, otherwise, to be honest with you, I could have slept all day. You just never know what time of day it is, and for those people that maybe suffer from a little bit of claustrophobia, I probably wouldn't recommend an inside cabin. So just be careful when you're looking out there in the papers at cruise specials, because 9 times out of 10 they'll always advertise an inside cabin. This is a snapshot of a deck plan on the Princess Cruise Line ship. You can see there I've highlighted the inside cabins with the red arrows. They're the pink and the yellow cabins, and you can see that they're actually on the inside of the ship, so you're not going to have the windows or anything like that. This is a picture of a inside cabin that Mum and I had on the Virgo. Great cabin, don't get me wrong, you know, it was very roomy. But again, like I said, no natural sunlight, always having to have the light on. Sometimes it felt a little bit stuffy at times, so if I go again, it'll definitely be either a window or a balcony. So your outside cabins are basically the opposite of your inside. They're the ones on the outside that have either a window or a porthole. Now what I mean by that is a window is going to be a square window, and a porthole is normally just like a little round window. It depends on the ship and depends on the structure and the layout, but we can help you with that. This is a picture of an outside cabin on the Superstar Virgo, the same cruise that Mum and I did. You can see there the great big window, which is fantastic, lets a lot of sunlight in. Also in the top right hand corner you'll notice that there's that box sitting on the wall. That's actually a bed that comes down, so you can have 3 people in that cabin. Again, your outside cabins, I've put a arrow there, you can see there the orange and the green ones. My favourite, balcony cabins. I was lucky enough to experience a balcony cabin when I went to, where did I go? Los Angeles last year, sorry. I did a cruise down to the Mexican Riviera, and we had a balcony cabin, and it was fantastic. Being able to access the outdoors and the fresh air is just brilliant. You can have breakfast out there if you order room service. You can go out there and read during the day. If you're pulling into port, you can go out there and just hang over the side of your balcony and see what's going on in port without having to sort of fight the crowds on the deck. And it's like when you're cruising along, and depending on where you're cruising, it's having your own personal view, which is fantastic as well. This is a picture of my balcony when I did my cruise in February last year. This one is actually a really large balcony, so there's some cruise ships out there that don't have balconies as large as this, but this is just to give you an idea. Okay, so which cruise line? There's plenty out there, but hopefully we can help you choose the right cruise for you depending on the questions that we had above, you know, when you're looking at cruising and how long we have, and, you know, have you cruised before. But this is just to give you an idea of how many cruise lines are actually out there.
Hopefully this has helped you gain a little bit more knowledge on how to choose the best cruise for you. If you would like some more customised help, put the address below in your browser, fill out the form, and I can be in contact with you and help. So until then, have a fab day.
What I want you to do now though, if you're looking for some customised help, is go to this tab that I've got my mouse over, hit Customised Travel, and in a second it'll come up. There she comes. We come over to here and I'll just show you what's on there. We've got an introduction video on there where as you can see, basically we're here to help you have the best holiday possible. Underneath that, what we want you to do is tell us what is your next travel, and you use the drop down box, or when it's coming up, I should say, not what, and then complete what is your most pressing question, or questions based on tonight's presentation, or perhaps it's not even related to that, maybe it's something totally different. Put them in there anyway. Put in your contact details so we know who we're talking to, and then ask us what's the best, let us know, what's the best time to get back to you, phone number if you prefer us to phone rather than email, and then just click on either Miller or Kelly, if you, depending on who you want to give you the help. Hit the send, and then that's it. So that's all I wanted to say. Love to hear from you. It's been a pleasure putting this together for you tonight. We look forward to helping you have the best cruise possible. So this is John Sparks from Your Travel Planner saying, remember, without your travel planner, you are on your own.